Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay. I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming WWE pay per view this Sunday, Extreme Rules Horror Show, and some predictions and thoughts. This pay per view should be very interesting because you have an eye for an eye match with Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, and a swamp fight for the WWE Universal Championship with Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. Now, this is not Bray Wyatt the Fiend. This is Bray Wyatt, regular Bray Wyatt. But I wonder how they're gonna do this swamp fight. We don't know. We don't even know as fans what a swamp fight is gonna be. It's just gonna be kind of like WrestleMania, where we didn't know what a Boneyard match was and we didn't know what a Funhouse match was. But it should be very interesting because it's going to be one of those theatrical performance type matches, like again, like we saw at WrestleMania 36. And I'm looking forward to it because we've never seen anything like this from WWE. Like I said, one of the things I liked about WrestleMania and necessity is the mother of invention. When you have to do something, oftentimes you do it because um, you know you have no other choice, and because of COVID-19, and because of the lack of an audience, and because of Becky Lynch being out with a pregnancy, and Roman Reigns being out because he doesn't want to come back to an unsafe work environment. As long as COVID is out there, and him just getting over leukemia in 2019, WWE is now forced to try different stuff, and it worked at WrestleMania, and I hope it works here. As far as other matches I'm looking forward to, Sasha Banks and Bailey. I mean, excuse me, Sasha Banks versus Asuka. I think Asuka's gonna win because, well, Sasha takes constantly takes the W no matter what. Takes the L no matter what. I don't know why. I think she should have jumped to AEW because in AEW she would have been the star. Here, she's just one of the players. You know what I mean? She's not Becky Lynch. She's not Asuka. She's not Kairi Sane. She's not um, Io Sarai or any of these top women, or even Bailey. So I think she's not gonna. I don't think she's gonna win. Apollo Cruz versus MVP for the U.S. title. I say Apollo goes over. They just gave the belt to Apollo, so I can't really see them taking it off him. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro versus New Day, Kofi Kingston, and Big E for the titles again. I think Kofi and Big E for the SmackDown titles. Kofi and Big E is gonna hold on to it. Um, it's not as a stacked card as the Great American Bash was. Of course, the Great American Bash featured NXT North American Champion Keith Lee winning the NXT title from Adam Cole, which was historic. People on the internet were ecstatic, even me, because I I kind of fell out with NXT for a while, and I really wasn't keeping up with Keith Lee. But when they did the invasion angle back in Survivor Series in November, I was really impressed with how Keith Lee hung in there with Roman. And I'm like, yo, this guy Keith Lee is definitely a star. And when he won the NXT Championship, I'm like, oh shit! And Adam Cole had such a long title reign that you, you know, whoever took it off him was gonna mean a lot, you know. So Keith Lee is, I think, yeah, shit. Keith Lee could give Keith Lee like 2 or 3 years, maybe less. This dude's gonna be at the top of the mountain, coming for the Universal Championship or the WWE Championship, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, um, I think this pay per view will be better than Fight for the Fallen. Again, AEW. Uh, I think like both companies really like rely a lot on nostalgia, but AEW doing the whole thing with Taz giving Hangman Page the FTW title. It's like, to me, that reminds me of like what they did with Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1995 when he first came in, and how Ted DiBiase was his manager. Ted DiBiase was his manager, and he gave him the $1 million belt. And I mean, people at that time in '95 might have not known what the $1 million belt even really was. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless they really was big time fans and they knew about '80s wrestling, they might not even know what the $1 million belt even was back then in '95. And the same thing here. Like, unless you really followed Taz's career and knew about Taz's career back in the day in the '90s in ECW, you really don't know what fuck the world title really is. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just my opinion, but I feel like bringing back all these old stars as managers, and it's good in a way because managers are needed in wrestling. Like, they brought back Vicky Guerrero as the manager of Nyla Rose, and they brought back fucking Taz as Hangman Page's manager. But like, I don't have a problem with them being the managers. You know what I'm saying? But bringing back the FTW title doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Because, like, the fans of today might not really make that connection. And the same thing with, like, Cody Rhodes being the manager of, Arn Anderson being the manager of Cody Rhodes. And, like, Tully Blanchard sitting in the audience scouting them out. People might not even know that Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson was in the Four Horsemen together. So, or the history that the Four Horsemen even had with Cody's father. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is too, like, what I think they're planning to do is have Cody turn heel on Arn. Because it's like, I think back to a storyline they did in '94 with Dustin and Arn Anderson, where Dustin was partner of Arn Anderson in a match against Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck at Bash at the Beach, and Arn Anderson turned on Dustin, and then Dustin and Dusty took on took on those other two guys, Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk, at that following Clash of Champions. You know what I mean? So, like, um, they are teasing Cody turning heel, but imagine if Arn Anderson turned heel, and then him and Tully Blanchard jump Cody, and then Dustin has to come to Cody's aid, and then it'd be like the Rhodes brothers against the Four Horsemen, reigniting the feud of like 1985 when the father took on the Horsemen. So, you know what I mean? Like, they're really appealing to nostalgia, and it could work. I'm not saying it can't, but I just feel like AEW kind of relies a little bit too much on being the new WCW or the new ECW when they gotta really make their own history. Like WWE has, because like here's the thing: to go back to watch a lot of those old angles that involve Four Horsemen and Dusty Rhodes and everything, you gotta really go to the WWE Network, and that's AEW's competition. You don't really want it to do that because it's like with Vince McMahon, right? When Mr. McMahon in '96 started doing the Nacho Man and the Huckster parodies, all that really made people do is um, switch back to WCW to see what those guys, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, were doing in that company. You know what I mean? So like that can really work against uh, AEW relying on too much on nostalgia. You know what I mean? WWE could do that because like say they bring back the Undertaker, he's in WWE, so they want you to subscribe to that network to see the Undertaker's matches. You know what I mean? But if you do that in AEW, people have to go to the WWE network to watch Taz and ECW or to watch the Four Horsemen versus Dusty Rhodes in the NWA or in WCW. So, like, you want to introduce them to people that they don't have to go to the WWE network to look for. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong. Could be a great angle, but I don't know. Time can only tell. And with WWE, swamp match, like I said, they're taking it into a whole nother direction. Because when I first heard about this, I'm like a swamp match. What like what the like the only one I'm a little bit confused about to me is like the Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins match. Uh, the eye for an eye. It's like how are you gonna take a guy's eye out? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to do some real theatrical shit to get Rey Mysterio eye out. And what I would or Seth Rollins, but to me, I think Ray's gonna take the hit because usually, like when they bring back a nostalgic person, like when they brought back the Dudleys a couple of years ago, they're usually using to build up the newer stars. Which is the way it's supposed to be. Just like when they brought back Jericho to face Bray Wyatt a couple of years ago too. You know what I mean? Like you bring back the old stars to build the new stars up. But like, uh, I think it's gonna happen like this. I think that Dominic Ray's son is gonna turn on Ray. That's how Ray's gonna lose. You know, it's gonna be some kind of swerve and some kind of turn. I think because you can't really take Ray's eye out. You can't take Seth Rollins' eye out. So I mean, who knows? But I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, WrestleMania 35 and WrestleMania 36, that them two theatrical matches, especially the one with Bray Wyatt. I'm still thinking about that Bray Wyatt shit to this day. You know what I'm saying? Now, right now, in the month of July, that five Funhouse match. Some people like Jim Cornette. You know what I mean? They didn't really like it because it's not wrestling. They felt it was like too much like a movie. But I mean, come on, Jim Cornette. Like, when has Jim Cornette ever liked anything new since like 1987? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, is a scaffold match with the Road Warriors really pure wrestling? No. but Jim Cornette was involved with that. You know what I mean? Is a tar and feather the tar and feather matches that they used to have in Smoky Mountain. Is that really pure wrestling? No, none of that is pure wrestling. But they had it. Jim Cornette had it though. Jim Cornette had Glenn Jacobs Kane dressed up as the Christmas creature in Memphis. I mean, it wasn't his promotion, but he constantly praised Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler. So I mean, spare me that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people like Jim Cornette and even Vince Russo, they kind of hate on WWE because they're not the ones writing it, so they want to constantly trash WWE. Not to say that everything that WWE does is right or fun or cool or whatever to take, but WWE is trying to move the medium forward because you can't uh, really rely on just fighting. You know what I mean? Because people are exposed to Ultimate Fighting now. People are exposed to MMA. They know that wrestling is not legitimate combat, so you have to do some kind of theatrical thing in order for um, keep the fan interested, especially now with no audience, and you don't have Roman Reigns and you don't have Becky Lynch. You don't have your two top drawers for the past year and a half, so you gotta rely on something different. You know what I mean? And I don't know what Shayna Baszler is not even there no more. I guess she left, so that takes out the possibility of Ronda Rousey coming back and with them doing a four horsewomen of MMA versus four horsewomen of WWE type thing that they teased at the World Rumble 2 years ago. So yeah, they gotta try something different. You know what I mean? Like I don't really take the things that people like Jim Cornette say seriously because to me, if you really want to watch that pure style, like the pure style, the pure matches, like you you got that on the network. You know what I'm saying? Like even with NXT, you got Adam Cole versus Keith Lee. That's kind of a pure thing. But on the main shows like SmackDown and Raw, you got to get something a little bit different. I feel. All right, peace, guys.